I'm going to be honest with you here. Even before I started using CSS, I've always loathed the default table borders that browsers apply. Through CSS, we can leave those clunky, semi-3D borders behind and create streamlined and customized borders. Like everything else, however, table borders created with CSS have rules that we must follow in order to get the desired results. Let's dive in and add some custom borders to our table. So here we have the Big Sur Trails file open, and what we're going to do is, again, scroll down through your styles to find your table styles. The first thing we're going to do is just add a border to our table, and I'll tell you what, I really want to see what this is going to look like as I'm changing these. So I'm going to go ahead and turn live view on and then scroll down. As we're making changes to our table over here in the styles, we should be able to see that refreshed within live view. Now, of course, now I'm going to have to scroll back down and find my table styles again, but that's okay. They're not that hard to find. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is the pound main content space table dot data. So I'm looking for that main table tag. I'm just going to go ahead and add a border to this. So add a property, add a border. We're going to add 1 pixel solid pound 333. So a solid gray border all the way around. Don't forget to put the spaces between the properties there and hit return. Well, was that what you were expecting? We got the border all the way around the table. A lot of people expect the moment you do that to have all of your rows and all of your headers and all of your table cells have just neat little borders. Well, that's not what we just told the CSS to do. We told the CSS to put a border all the way around the table, and that's what it did. So in order for us to get borders throughout our table, we're going to have to write a few more styles. Now, let's go ahead and find the pound main content table.data space th, the selector right underneath it. So these are all of our table headers. I'm going to add another property to this one, and this time I'm going to add a border dash bottom. So just a bottom border here, 1 pixel solid, and it is going to be pound 000. So that's going to be black. Now, as soon as we do this, watch what happens. We get a nice black border right underneath our main table header, and then we get a black border separating these guys as well. So it's a nice visual separator, darker than everything else around it, and it gives us nice contrast between the background behind these headers and the border itself. Now, we need to add borders to the remainder of our table, so I'm going to scroll over here, and you may need to widen this a little bit. I'm going to find the other TH tag, which is the one inside the T-head tag, so we're focusing on these guys right now, and I'm going to add a property here. I'm going to add border 1 pixel solid pound 333. And there's our border. And then the table data cell right underneath that, select that, add a property here, and we're going to do border 1 pixel solid pound 333. So the same border for that one as well. So now our table has borders defined for the table itself, all of our table cells, and all of our table header cells. Looking at this, though, it still doesn't look quite right. These borders don't seem to line up very well, and I could swear that's thicker than 1 pixel. Well, it is, and they don't. The reason for this is that each one of these table cells has a 1 pixel border, meaning this one does, and so does this one. 1 pixel plus 1 pixel equals 2 pixels. So, in fact, what we get here is a 2 pixel border. So how do you combat that? Well, there's actually a very, very easy method of combating that. Go back up to your main table selector, pound main content table.data, and we're going to add one more property. Go ahead and add a property here, and I'm going to type in border dash collapse, and the value for this, and I'm just going to grab the pull-down menu so you can see the different values here. Collapse, separate, and inherit. Now, separate is the default, and that's what we're seeing here. That's keeping the borders separate. We want collapse so that, in fact, they collapse down to a single pixel path. Now, one thing about this border collapse property, you can only use it on tables, and if you're the type of person that really likes the CSS rule definition dialog box, there is no border collapse option available in this dialog box. You have to add that either hand coding it or through the CSS styles panel here. Okay, our table's almost finished. We've visually identified header information and given users help in quickly scanning vertical and horizontal data. The only thing we need to do next is style an element of our table that it seems we've forgotten about. This little guy right up here, the caption, and we'll do that next.